Good morning. Happy Saturday. We're finally able to have a meeting on our regular third Saturday because there's no conflict with holidays today. Yeah, we're gonna talk about doing voter registration drives. We're also going to be doing an election and fill the vacancy on the club development committee. I accidentally left Go Team, accidentally left Go Team update on here from last time, but it's always important. Seth put a link in the chat for a training for new Go Team members. Please feel free to share with your club. I'll copy and repaste what you put for folks that just hopped on. Okay, do we have any new clubs or new club leaders on today that want to introduce yourselves? Feel free to raise your hand if so. Marcelo?
Hi, thank you, Cody. Thank you, everybody. Great to be here. Marcelo Ramirez, Chartered President for La Voz Demócrata, a Spanish-speaking new club started this year, and just really excited to be here.
All right, thank you. Glad to have you here. Anyone else?
Right here. Actually,
Is the name Ashley Herndon?
that is me. How are you today?
All right, good. How are you?
I think we're gonna make it. Linda asked me to sit in for her today, so I'm happy to do so and glad to meet you and all the other attendees.
All right, thank you. All right, anybody else? Going once, going twice. All righty, we're gonna go ahead. Do we have any announcements from elected officials or party officers? I don't think so. All right, moving along. Again, a reminder, this is our current club development committee. There's one member elected by each area, and then we have 2 at-large members. We do have a vacancy that we'll be filling today due to Katie Meyer moving to DC out of San Diego. So we will handle that at the end. So we're going to talk a bit about doing voter registration drives. There's been a lot of interest in this with obviously the election coming up, schools heading back in session, and National Voter Registration Day is coming up next month. So we're going to talk a bit about this. Feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions, and I will try to answer them. However, it's also highly possible that that'll be in like a different slide, but feel free to ask or send in the chat or anything, and I'll do my best. So first things first, for clubs that are interested in doing a voter registration drive, you want to make a plan where you're going to do it, when, how many forms you need. Are you going to be targeting students, or are you going to be targeting, just general Democrats in your geographic area? You'll want to obtain voter registration forms, the paper forms, from the San Diego County Registrar of Voters. I know sometimes the party does provide those as well, but you can get your own from the registrar. And then while you can register people online, in my experience, it's a lot easier to assist voters with the paper forms, make sure they're filling them out correctly. And also, if you do redirect people to the online one, a lot of times folk will just say, oh, then I'll just do this by myself later, and they won't let you help them, and then you can't ensure that they actually do it. So I always recommend using paper forms when possible during your drives. And of course, the biggest thing is making sure that your volunteers are trained, because there are a lot of rules and regulations around doing voter registration. And we want to make sure people are registered properly. If you do need more than 50 forms from the registrar, they will ask you to fill out what's called distribution form, basically stating your plan, where you're gonna have the drive, when, what groups of voters are you gonna target, how you're gonna distribute the cards, like tabling or things like that. You also need to sign an acknowledgement that you and your volunteers will follow the laws. That sounds pretty intense, but I've had to do this multiple times, and it's just, a precaution because we really want to make sure folks are registering people properly. And I'm gonna try to check the chat, but I might miss things. I see Seth said it could be helpful to hand out copies of endorsed candidates so people see they're Democrats. Absolutely, and we'll talk about that more later, but you are allowed to be partisan when doing voter registration. Deadlines. So the deadline to register or re-register, update your registration is 15 days before an election. So keeping that in mind. However, we do, as of the last couple elections, have the ability to do conditional registration and then vote provisionally. Basically what that means is if you go in after the deadline, and it has to be at the registrar of voters or one of the vote centers in person, you can conditionally register and vote provisionally same day. What that means is that they need to take time to make sure that your registration is valid. And once they do that, then your provisional vote will be counted. Some of you may remember I posted in 2020 about this because my boyfriend became a citizen on election day, and he was able to go and register to vote and vote in person. And it was eventually confirmed after the election that it was valid and counted. So a lot of folks don't know this, so that's always good. Just a few general questions people ask. A Californian can use any of the voter reg forms from California. There are some statewide where if you look at the back, it's addressed to the Secretary of State, now Dr. Shirley Weber, of course. But the ones that you get from the San Diego County Registrar of Voters are addressed to the San Diego County Registrar of Voters. I forget who the new person is after, what's his name, Michael left, but if for some reason you are doing voter registration and you have someone, say from Orange County, come up because they're on vacation or I don't know, they can still use one of your forms, and then it will be forwarded on to the Orange County Registrar of Voters. So just a bit of information there. Also, you don't need to be a registered voter of a certain age, a resident, or anything in order to register voters. Sometimes folks don't know that, and you don't even need to be a citizen. I've had a lot of folks who volunteered and helped register voters who weren't even able to vote themselves. And it was kind of actually a good thing to be able to tell them, well, I can't vote, but you can register and vote right now, and it's important, and that kind of sometimes guilt trips them. But and often we have high school students who, of course, are not 18 yet, that do voter registration as well. So there's not really any requirement for you to be able to participate in that way. Just keep in mind that if you help someone fill out a form or return it on their behalf, then you do need to fill out a portion of the form with your information, just stating that you provided that assistance. And like I said, you may conduct partisan political activity while registering voters. Although if you do have an agreement with some schools or things like that, they might have their own rules. But legally, you can be as partisan as you want. However, you cannot refuse to turn in someone's form based on their political party preference or registration. So if someone does decide to register as a Republican, you still need to turn in that form. Also, you are legally required to give a blank form to anyone who comes up to you and requests one. They don't need to fill it out with you. They can just take it home. Another thing sometimes folks ask is that, or they say that they don't want to register because they don't want to do jury duty, but most of the time those folks are already in the system because they pull it from the DMV. So if you have a California driver's license or ID, or you pay taxes, you're still in the pool. So that's not a good excuse. If done correctly, registrants should receive a voter notification card in the mail about 2 to 3 weeks after registering in order to confirm their information. And of course, I think most of us know this by now, but you don't need to register to vote by mail anymore. That's automatic. All California voters will receive a ballot in the mail. They can still go in person if they want to, but it's not recommended. So who can register to vote in California? In order to register, you have to be a citizen. You have to be a resident of California if you're trying to register in California. You need to be either 18 years old or older on election day, or you can be 16 or 17 and pre-register. And pre-registration basically means that the registration will be held for a year or two until you turn 18, and then it'll become valid. You cannot register currently if you are currently serving a state or federal prison term for the conviction of a felony. However, if you are out on parole or probation, you are still eligible. That's relatively new. And then you cannot have been currently found mentally incompetent to vote by court. Hopefully you won't really encounter that issue when you're out and about registering voters, but just something to keep in mind. And then to elaborate a little bit on this, this is especially important if you or your club are planning to do voter registration at colleges or universities. So a student who is attending college away from home may either register to vote at the like their parents' address, or they can register at the address where they live while they're attending school. So whether that's on campus or off campus, they can use that address. A lot of times folks don't know that, so that is an option. If they were previously registered somewhere else, they really want folks to fill out the prior registration portion of the form, and that just that's so that the prior registration can be canceled. But a lot of times, especially with students, they probably haven't registered before anyway. Unsheltered individuals, a person experiencing homelessness, is still eligible to vote and register to vote. They can basically choose the location that they say is where they spend most of their time. A lot of times this is like a church or a homeless shelter or things like that. The person has to provide a description of the location that's clear enough for the elections official to establish their right to vote in a particular precinct. And then hopefully in those situations, they're able to provide a mailing address if the address they provided was not, a full address. And this also goes for some really like rural areas that may not have addresses. You can use like a cross section of streets and such, and there is a way to provide that on the form itself. Really important notes for folks doing voter registration. Obviously, we know you can't charge someone in order to register, but you also cannot pay them or offer an incentive to register or vote. And I feel like, folks may not know, they're pretty strict on the whole offering incentive thing. Something as small as, oh, hey, if you register, we'll give you this sticker, or if you register, we'll give you a piece of candy. You can't do that either. However, you can have stickers and other things to give out at a voter registration table, but you just can't offer it based on whether or not they register. It just needs to be available for anyone who wants to take it. And that's something I'll mention in another slide, but usually having things there that kind of entice people to come up are helpful. Making sure that you don't fill in the blanks on someone's form if they miss something. Make sure to keep their registration information confidential. The forms do ask for ID and other information that's kind of private. Each voter registration form has a number, so you can't just like photocopy them and make more. You have to pick up more. Really important is you have 3 business days or the date of the voter registration deadline to turn them into the Registrar of Voters. An example of this is when I was at UCSD, we did sort of almost a week-long voter registration drive. So when we started on a Wednesday, so we were able to register voters on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then on Monday turn in those forms because Saturday and Sunday did not count in that deadline. So again, you have 3 business days. So just keeping that in mind. And again, you do need to complete the circulator section and provide the voter with their receipt, which is generally the bottom part of the form. This is what the forms look like now. Some of you may be more used to the older version. I think this one was introduced in like, I want to say 2018 or so. It was designed to be less confusing than the old forms, and I do think that that is the case. But you can see here that they fill out this information, and then there's a part here where you can tear off the receipt and provide it to the voters. So errors on forms. Generally, if someone makes an error on their form, they can cross it out and make an initial nearby and then write out the correct information. This is helpful so that they don't need to start over and get discouraged and maybe walk away without completing a form. However, this is not the case with the party preference. So you really want to, catch that before people check a wrong box. And then if there are any partially filled forms that need to be discarded, they should be voided, initialed, and the ROV has asked that those be returned to them. It helps with tracking them. So just keeping that in mind. And really important is making sure that when you're volunteering, that you walk folks through the form. It may seem like it's pretty simple, but I guarantee you, if you let someone walk away with the form, fill it out and bring it back, it's gonna be wrong. I've had this happen before where someone's like, oh no, I'm sure I can do it correctly. I don't need help. And after like the third form that we had to void, they're like, okay, you can help me now. But just making sure that you're walking them through it and you explain each item that they need to fill out, and double checking that they didn't miss anything before they walk away, because again, it's more complicated than it seems to the average person who hasn't looked at these forms a lot. Again, and then if for some reason they leave without completing the form, the registrar of voters will try to contact them. Hopefully they've provided a phone number or email address. If not, if they provided a physical or mailing address, they'll try that, but otherwise it's just not going to be valid. So that's part of why you really want to encourage folks to list a phone number, email address. A lot of times folks don't want to list a phone number because they know that they will get phone calls from campaigns, and that's true. But also if there's an issue with their voter registration, that's how the registrar will contact them. So I usually let them know that. Okay, so preparation. You really want to make sure that you have plenty of materials, blank voter registration forms, clipboards are always good, pens, blue or black. Clipboards are great because you can hand it to someone and not have to rely on them coming up to your table. If you're in a high traffic area, it's good to keep multiple ones on a clipboard. That way, right when you're done, you can hand it off to another registrant. Something that I always do is tape an example of a completed form to the back of the clipboard. And this helps when people say, oh, this looks really long, because there are so many sections that really don't need to be filled out, that are optional. And you can just say, oh no, look how quick it is. Like, so I always do that. And then you'll want to make sure also for your volunteers that you have copies of basic instructions and FAQs. You can get those from the California Secretary of State website, and that just really helps because there's always some random questions that come up that maybe you're not prepared for. And here's just an example of a voter registration table set up here. Now, targeting Democrats. Again, you are allowed to be partisan, and you want to take that into consideration when you are, trying to aim for places that you think Democrats will be at. I don't think they're doing the new citizen swearing in ceremonies yet. I'm not sure if they've resumed those. I know in 2020, when my boyfriend got sworn in, it was just individually, but the party usually does do those. Farmers markets, street fairs. I know, I think it's the Rancho Santa Fe Dems usually do one at the street fair in Solana Beach. I've helped with a few years. Retail stores in democratic leaning neighborhoods. Something people may not know is even if it's technically private property, you're allowed to actually do voter registration at malls and shopping centers. There is actually a Supreme Court case about this because it's generally open to the public, and so they ruled that those shopping centers can't stop you. What's really funny is the Pruneyard Shopping Center is like down the street from where I grew up. So when I found that out, it was kind of funny. Entertainment venues, events, about left-leaning artists or target progressive audiences, schools, job fairs, or other places where there might be new residents. And I think Seth mentioned this with having a list of endorsed Democratic candidates. That's definitely something you can bring with you. Something else we generally recommend is, signage that says, Democrats, register here. Again, you do still need to turn in a form if someone registers Republican, but that doesn't mean that you can't try to encourage Democrats specifically to come up to your table. A lot of times folks will table and have cardboard cutouts of, Obama or Bernie or, other folks. T-shirts, stickers, buttons. After the 2016 election, I bought up a whole bunch of like Democratic stickers and bumper stickers that were like on sale, and I used those for a while tabling. People were always coming up wanting to grab a sticker. So that, and again, as long as you let anyone take one, regardless of whether they register, you're in the clear. You do want to have information about the deadlines. And then of course, since you're, registering Democrats, you probably want to have sign-up forms for your club, especially for geographic clubs. So you can get folks to sign up as members of your club. This is an example of tabling done in, I think, 2016 or 2017 at Miracosta College. You can see, Democratic signage there. College student voter registration. Make sure that if you are going to be going to a college campus, you find out what their address format is and make sure you use the correct one. This was a big deal when I was at UCSD because the address that you had to list, even most of the students didn't know how to do that. If you think about UCSD or you Google it, it'll give you an address like 9500 Gilman Drive. I think it's like 92093 or something. And that is not the residential address for students living on campus. And then on top of that, they do this weird thing where you have to list your mailbox number where it asks for the apartment or unit number, which no one would anticipate if they weren't told that. So that's just one example. I'm not an expert on, other college campuses, but just something to keep in mind and do your research if you do plan to go to colleges. Try to coordinate with college Democrats if they have one for the campus or other students. Make sure, don't claim to be part of some student group or something that you're not if you're not working with them. That was a big issue we had when I was a student, and it almost cost us some privileges we had worked out with the administration. That took years to get them to agree to let us do door-to-door registration, and that almost was lost because of some other groups that did it without permission. And again, peer-to-peer engagement works best. So it really helps if you have some other, students or young Dems that participate with you when you do go to college campuses. And you'll also just want to check ahead of time what the rules are, because especially for public universities, it is, it's a First Amendment thing. You can do voter registration, but that doesn't mean they have to let you set up a table. So just, keep that in mind. Some other best practices for doing voter registration: tables and chairs are helpful for registrants, so they can come, and more easily complete the registration, but your volunteers really should be standing and going up to potential registrants and not just relying on them to come up to your table. Another recommendation is to ask if people's voter registration is up to date rather than asking if they're registered, because a lot of times people think they're registered and they're not. Maybe they registered, years ago, but they've moved since then and they didn't know you need to update it. So that usually helps. If you have someone that's really good at, getting folks attention and bringing them over, maybe you want to assign specific volunteer roles, have someone that's, the attention grabber. Then if you have folks that are really good at helping complete the forms, they can kind of take on that role as well. And again, you really, really want to make sure that you walk voters or registrants through the form. Avoid having to make corrections or even start over, because you really want to make it as easy as possible for them to register rather than get discouraged and walk away without completing it. And again, you can have stickers, buttons, whatever to give out, but it can't be on the condition of registering or not. That reminds me, I don't have a picture of it, but I when we did it in Solana Beach at the street fairs, I remember in 2019, a lot of people came up to participate in the poll we were doing about who you wanted to vote for or who you wanted to be the Democratic nominee for president. So things like that are interactive and get folks interested can also really help get people to come over to your table as well. So when should registered voters re-register? If they moved, it doesn't matter if it's in the same neighborhood, same city, next door. If your address has changed, you need to re-register. If a voter changed their legal name, which is pretty common for folks who were recently married, they need to update their registration as well. And then, of course, if they want to change their political party affiliation. Some key dates to remember. So September 20th, I believe, is National Voter Registration Day. And then starting early October, the registrar begins mailing out ballots, early voting begins. October 24th is the voter registration deadline, but again, if folks miss that, they can still go in person to the registrar of voters or to one of the vote centers in the county to conditionally register, but that's more difficult. So we definitely want to try to get folks in before that. And then of course, November 8th is election day. So it's again helpful to have this information because a lot of times folks will ask about these dates when you're doing voter registration. And that is all I have. Does anyone have any questions or any experiences they would like to share with doing voter registration? I see Danny's hand up. You can unmute.
Hey everyone. I wanted to, well, since you suggested some suggestions, something that worked for the club in the past is having ice cold water on hot days if we're tabling at an outside event. It brings people to your event. It really helps out to bring people to the table. I did, however, have a question about, I had two questions. One regarding so the club is planning to do a voter registration booth tomorrow at a farmer's market in downtown. Does the party have any materials that we can use, for example, like the Obama cutouts or different things that we used at past voter registration events that you guys do personally?
That's a good question. I'm not sure about the cutouts, but I know in the past the party has been able to provide like signage that says, Democrats register here. I think sometimes in different languages as well. I would reach out and contact the party office and see what they have, because they might have some stuff you could use. I know also the party has, what's it called? One of those canopy tent things that they do loan out to clubs for events, that you can borrow, if you need one of those too. So yeah, I would definitely reach out and see what they have available.
Given the proximity to the event, would you recommend this for a different event, or would you still recommend it to
You can
try to?
ask, I mean, as long as,
Is the office open on the weekends?
I don't know the answer to that. But I mean, it's worth an ask, I think.
Okay. And the second thing, is there any laws prohibiting us from doing voter registration outside of farmers markets without the permission of the farmers market?
I think it depends on what you mean by outside of. Obviously, like, you can't take up any space that they have reserved for something and, blocking anything. But in general, I think you should be able to, like I said, that, you're able to do it in front of like stores and shopping centers and things like that. So I don't see why it wouldn't apply to a farmer's market.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And just keep in mind, this doesn't mean that the folks in charge of this or the managers of the stores know that. So, I would try your best to, establish a good, a line of communication there to make sure that there aren't any issues. But yeah.
Agreed. Thank you. Oh, and are the slides accessible anywhere?
Yes, I will put them in the drive. If you go to the link tree, for Council of Clubs, there's a link to the full Google Drive folder with all the prior slides. This one isn't in there yet, but I will put it in after this.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Did you have anything else? I'll lower your hand, and then Seth.
Yeah, I presume it's okay to take a picture of the completed forms and then follow up later on with people who are Democrats?
Yeah, so I believe the rule is that you, you're not supposed to share confidential information, but you can share it within your own organization that's doing the drive. So,
Okay.
and I know that that's a pretty common practice. Yeah, you should be fine with doing that as well.
Okay, and the other thing is that I've noticed that I think it was Carlsbad Village Fair or some of these fairs where you're not allowed to go bring people in to the booth. So, they really oppose that kind of thing. So I think, some places it's fine to bring people over to your registration booth, but some places they do not want you to,
Yeah.
go pull people in. And,
Yeah.
and you'll get in a lot of trouble for doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's definitely when it's helpful to have those clipboards so you can, not have to bring folks over into your booth.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And Joe?
Yeah, I got a quick one. So yeah, the party does have a tent. I've borrowed it before. You just give them a call and you got to go down, pick it up. It's kind of heavy, just fair warning. But yeah, they do have that. But the other thing I was going to suggest is I'm going to show this here. I think I've shown this before, but there's the Center for Cartoon Studies has this comic book. This is what democracy looks like. It's actually kind of cool to have on a table for voter reg. I'll put a link in the chat. It's free. You can order 25 copies, but it's really kind of good for, new voters, something like that. But I was going to ask, if I have this on the table, I'm not obviously going to give it out if someone signs up. That's the exchange of value. I get that, but we can have these types of like little tchotchke sort of things on the table that kind of describe what voting is and things like that, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, just as long as you're not saying, hey, you can only look at this if you register.
Yeah, it's a really fun comic book, and again, just another fun thing to kind of have when you're registering people. I'll put on the chat right there.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Indro. And yeah, just again, I don't want to scare folks off from having things at your table. Definitely have them. Just make sure that, you know, whatever you have to take or participate in, you're not saying only if you register. That's really the main issue. I'm trying to, I think I found it. 1 second. Share my screen. All right, this is from, what was this? I don't know, 169 weeks ago, 2019 probably. I was helping out at the Fiesta del Sol, and they had this cute like, oh, like, who do you want for US president? And like people were given stickers that they could put next to the name, and you can see that there was definitely a lot of interest in participating in this. So like, I definitely encourage people to, you know, have interesting things like this when you're tabling. What else? Okay, Shayna had a question. We are heading up to do voter reg in North County today, so do our volunteers need to sign the bottom portion, or should I sign them all as a person who will return them to the registrar? Yeah, excluding anyone who directly assists in filling the form out. Yeah, that's a good question. So generally, like you said, if you actually are like helping someone fill out the form, as in someone said maybe they can't write, or I don't know, and you're filling out the blanks for the whole form as they requested, then that individual person has to fill out the circulator portion, the blue box, whatever you want to call it. But if they're not doing that, then they don't have to, and you can just sign it yourself. At least, again, this is based on my experience and what I've been told, and I definitely have filled out a million of those when I returned them to the registrar. But yeah, so you should be able to do that yourself. And also, a lot of times organizations have like, I think the party does this where they have like a stamp where they like stamp that thing on each of theirs to kind of make it easier when they're returning it. But yeah, generally, if you're returning them, you can fill it out yourself. Any other thoughts, questions? Anything anyone wants to share? I was also going to say, I think we might have discussed this in a prior council clubs meeting, but I didn't really address high school voter registration, but I know, I think the San Marcos STEMS has a lot of experience with doing it in high schools, and a lot of times you can get the admin to agree to let you do voter registration, like for their high school juniors or seniors. They usually want you to be nonpartisan when you do it though. So just, you know, keeping that in mind, but it's something, you know, worth looking at if you're interested in that. Yeah, okay. Any other? Oh, also for National Voter Registration Day on, I think it's the 20th, it's the organization, National Voter Registration, whatever they're called. They have a lot of information and materials if you want to look into that. If that's, you know, helpful. I think they can even provide like stickers and stuff like that if you sign up in time to get them. So I would recommend checking that out if anyone's interested. Kevin, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, quick question. Does the party still have its I think it's called the bounty program?
I don't know. That's a good question. I do not know. I'm happy to check in on
Can
that.
I say, can I answer that?
Who's this, Tom?
Tom Frew? That's
Yeah.
that's a statewide, that's KDM. You have to go to KDM for that. It's not the county.
Okay, I think the party used to help like this, the county party would help like facilitate it though. So like
Right.
clubs would like get forms sometimes from the party and then give it to them and then they would do whatever with that. But yeah, I'm not sure. So yeah, any other thoughts, questions, concerns? And I do recommend folks, if you want more information, check out the sdvote.com, the Registrar of Voters, and also the California Secretary of State website has a lot of resources and information about hosting voter registration drives and things like that. And I mentioned like they have the FAQs and stuff too, if you want to get those. Danny?
Yeah, I'm going to suggest that clubs get together on voter registration events like this. And as a dry run, if anyone would like to join the Downtown Dems tomorrow, like I said, we're going to be doing it downtown at a farmer's market. So I highly encourage anyone who wants to do a dry run to join us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that just reminded me, I forgot to mention, but they also do have voter registration materials and forms available in several different languages. So, you know, depending on who your target audience is or where geographically you are, you might want to, you know, get some of those. I think at least last time I did this, usually they're both by default, like generally English, Spanish, but they have some in several different like API languages and others. So if that's of interest to you, those are available from the registrar as well. Okay. Anything else? Alrighty. Again, this is being recorded and the slides will be made available. I'm going to go back to my thing here. Where am I? Here we go. Oh, I think next we actually, oops, sorry. Next, we're actually going to go ahead with our Club Development Committee vacancy, election to fill the vacancy. So for anyone that isn't familiar, we do have a Club Development Committee. As of now, we basically meet monthly, immediately after the end of the monthly Council of Clubs meeting. So obviously the time varies a bit, but if you're already going to be a Council of Clubs, then generally that works for most people. What we do is kind of like discuss issues pertaining to clubs, think about what would be helpful information to provide to clubs. Occasionally, if there are any like inter-club issues, we kind of help resolve those, but that's thankfully not too common. So like I mentioned, we do have one person per geographic area elected by those areas, and then we have 2 at-large seats. One of those was held by Katie Meyer, but she moved, so we are going to fill that for the remainder of the term. So I guess if anyone would like to run for that seat, you can, I guess, raise your hand now, or if you'd like to nominate someone, please do so. And we will do a vote. Ooh, lots of interest. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Sinara. I guess I'll call on each person in case you're nominating someone other than yourself, but Sinara, you are planning to run, correct?
Yes, I am. I'd like to announce my candidacy, but I'm getting a lot of feedback. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, no, I hear you just fine.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, yes, I'm very interested in running.
All right, thank you. And then next I see Malik.
Hello. Yes, I would like to run for the vacancy as well.
All right, thank you. And then I see Danny.
I was actually going to nominate Sonara.
Okay, awesome. And then I thought I saw Kevin's hand up, but it's down now.
I was going to nominate Sonara as well.
Okay, great. Do we have anyone else that would like to run? If not, I guess that'll make this quicker. Won't even have to do ring choice. All right, any other nominations, self or otherwise? Going once, going twice.
Personal experience, I think.
What? Huh? Sorry, who was that?
It
Someone-
was, I think it was Dr. Richmond or Joy Reid. I'm not sure.
It was me, and she put her hand down, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, we already got Sinara, if that's who you were referring to, and then Malik. So, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna prepare a Google form to do this vote, just so we make sure. As a reminder, for anyone that, you know, maybe is new and isn't aware of the system, it's one club, one vote. Generally, club presidents are the ones that are voting, but if you are, you know, authorized by your club to vote on behalf of your club, then you can do that as well. 1 second. So I am going to give, you know, so we'll have you put your name, your club, and your preferred candidate. Since there's only 2, we don't need to do a whole thing. Yes, Sinara, you are going to get to speak. I'm just explaining this process real quick. Oh, Michelle, I see your hand raised.
Only to tell you that I'm at Nora's symposium, but I am voting for the Dems for equality. And I will not be able to use the Google form. That's the reason I'm telling you.
Okay, well, would you prefer to,
I can voice my vote. And I'm totally happy to do that. I'm voting for Sonara. We are voting for Sonara.
Okay. All right, thank you. So I will give, let's see. Let's do 2 minutes for each candidate to kind of discuss, you know, why they want to be on this committee, their experience, what they, you know, want to bring to it. Let me grab a timer real quick. Timer. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share my screen, and you will be able to see the timer. 2 minutes on the clock. Give me 1 minute. Could I have Sonara and Malik raise your hands just so I can find you better, because weird when I'm sharing my screen. Okay, great. So Sonara, whenever you are ready.
Hello, my name is Sonara. I think most of you know me. I'm the president of the Blue Dream Democratic Club. I also am one of the co-founders of La Voz Demócrata Democratic Club. I'm very passionate and excited about that. And I'm currently working with Zach Gomez on forming a national city Democratic Club. As most of you probably already know, I'm very passionate about clubs. I'm very passionate about community involvement. And I've really been doing a lot of club development work informally already. And that's why I'm running for the seat, because I'd like to take it on as a formal role, because I've already been working with clubs, working on bylaws, creating template bylaws, coordinating with other clubs to make sure we know when endorsements are coming up so that we can do our elections in time. So these are already things I'm doing because I'm passionate and I care. And I thought, you know, if I'm already doing the work, I might as well do it in a formal role. I love advocating for clubs. Everyone who knows me knows that I'm a very hard worker, and I will work very hard in this position. And I would be very honored to have the opportunity to serve on the Club Development Committee. Thank you very much.
All right, nice and quick. I'm gonna remove your spotlight and switch to Malik, and whenever you're ready.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Malik Thornton, and I am running to be on the Club Development Committee because I know that it's important to have clubs that will mobilize and not only get get Democrats elected, but also retain membership. You know, that's one of my big priorities, is to find ways to retain membership and participation in clubs. But I also want to make sure that we're making sure that young Democrats have increased participation in clubs as well. You know, right now I serve as the membership director for the San Diego County Young Democrats. I'm the deputy regional director for the South State of CYD. And so, you know, I have been putting in the work to make sure that young Dems get involved in clubs and making sure that we have advocacy. One thing that I want to do and kind of help to bring to other clubs so we can make sure that we're retaining members and keeping people involved after elections is doing mentorships that, you know, help people explore, you know, how to get more clubs involved, how to, you know, get into leadership and things like that. And, you know, I really also want to hear from the club members as well on how we can best support you. And, you know, that's kind of my role, and that's what I want to do to make sure that we are doing what we can as clubs to, you know, make sure that we are doing the advocacy work, but also making sure that we're getting young Dems elected and young Dems elected as well. So I would be honored to have your support. And please let me know if you have any questions and if you want to talk about issues and things like that. And I'm really excited to serve. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Do we, sorry, do we feel like we want or need to do questions, or should we just move on with the vote?
Vote.
Someone just said vote. Okay. All righty. Okay, so.
Can we ask a couple questions?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, let's, if there are a couple questions, we can go ahead, and I'm gonna add back Sonara to, oh wait, I can't spotlight you with, if Sonara, if you want to turn your video on, I can re-spotlight you. Okay, give me a sec. Add spotlight, okay. So let's see. maybe we'll do up to 1 minute response. Hopefully these aren't like too complicated of questions. So let's see. Nadia, if you want to go ahead.
Hi, I want to ask both the candidates where you stand on reducing and creating the regional clubs, the regional meetings like South Caucus, East Caucus, North Caucus, and giving just the vote like we do at Central Committee to the elected candidate, not to the backup. Right now, in all the caucuses, each person has 2 votes, and that outvotes every club. So you have organic members, like our club, where we have 110 members whose vote only counts less than somebody that was elected in by the South Caucus.
So Nadia, I'm going to ask just for a bit of clarification because I just want to make sure I know. So are you saying like not have alternates have votes at the areas? Is that your?
Yes, I'm asking how you feel about alternates having a vote. Those aren't.
Okay.
No, those aren't. Not having alternates have a vote at Central, just like we have at Central Committee.
Okay, got it. So I'll just repeat that question. So, you know, right now at the area caucuses for Central Committee, the areas you have regular voting members, their alternates get to vote as well. And then clubs each have 1 club, 1 vote. So Nadia is asking how our committee candidates, I suppose, feel about removing the alternate vote. So I guess Sanara went first last time. So Malik, do you want to go ahead? You guys can unmute. Oh, let me share the screen with the timer. All right, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so I think that it's important that, you know, clubs that have a big membership have the proper representation on, you know, each area caucus. And I'd be open to kind of learning more about, you know, how other folks feel and stand on that issue, and kind of learning more because, you know, I would like to hear from y'all and see like what y'all think. But I think that also having those Central Committee alternates and also Central Committee members is also important to have on on area caucuses as well. So I'd be open to learn a little bit more about that.
All right. Sanara, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I am 100% in favor of giving more advocacy to clubs, giving a bigger voice to clubs, and having more clubs so that more community members have a bigger voice. As to the question of whether Central Committee members alternates vote at regional caucuses, that's something that's in the bylaws of the Democratic Party, and that's something the Central Committee members themselves, not associate members such as ourselves or alternates, vote on. It's only the elected members as to the format of the area caucuses. So, you know, that becomes a political consideration for the Central Committee itself. It's not something that we, for better or worse, as club have a voice in. But I want to make sure that clubs aren't disenfranchised. I want to make sure that people know to do their endorsements in time, that they make sure to give that 2-week notice, et cetera, because I know in past elections, there's been a lot of frustration because clubs, not on purpose, didn't know the procedures and therefore their voice wasn't heard at Central Committee. And I will do everything in my power to make sure that people know the rules, follow them well, and get their voice heard.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna lower Nadia's hand and then I see Johan's hand raised. Do you want to ask your question?
Yes, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
So my question for both candidates is, do you think it's important to nurture new leadership within party spaces? Nurture and support new leadership within party spaces.
Okay. So I think Malik went first last time. So Sanara, whenever you're ready.
I mean, getting new leadership within party spaces is the reason I do what I do, to get more people involved. So with La Voz Demócrata, the whole point of that club is a Spanish-speaking Democratic club, is to bring people into the party that have not been part of the party that are Spanish speakers. So it's to get new people in, it's to get new people involved. We recently had a debate in National City and invited everybody by flyering in front of the nutrition center, by flyering in front of the schools. And, you know, the whole point of that is to bring people in, and the clubs is to bring new people in. And I see clubs as a conduit to greater party leadership. I mean, people start out participate in their club, then they run for central committee, then they become a club president. I mean, it's really the first step in so many people's political journey. So it's really important to me. And like I said, I'm working with Zach Gomez to form a new club right now in National City. I'm the Go Team representative for the South region, which is all about bringing people in to do canvassing and walking and volunteering for the party. I'm your South region
All right.
representative. So yep, that's.
Thank you. Malik, whenever you're ready.
All right, absolutely. I think that I want to make sure that we're supporting and nurturing new leadership within the party, because I'm a product of that. Excuse me. You know, people have, you know, been my mentors and, you know, guided me through, you know, the party and how it works and things like that to make sure that, you know, I have a chance at leadership, and I want to make sure that I do that for other folks as well. And, you know, that's, you know, part of my position as a membership director for San Diego County Young Democrats. I'm making sure that people are getting involved in our club, and, you know, making sure that, you know, they have an opportunity to become a leader in our club and in our party as well. And I want to make sure that we give those opportunities to other folks as well, young Democrats, other Democrats that want to be in other clubs as well. So I think it's super, super important because, you know, clubs are our next generation of leaders. So I am really happy to do that.
All right, thank you. I'm going to lower Johan's hand. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. Going once, going twice. All right, I'm gonna hold on. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to share the link for this, but we're gonna do, not voting for two now because we're just filling one vacancy. So you're gonna put your name, the name of your club. Again, it's one club, one vote. So if you are not the club president, make sure you know that you're not voting on behalf of a club if someone else already is. And then your, you know, preferred candidate. There's only two candidates, so don't need to do a ranked choice or anything complicated. So I'm going to stop my screen share. I am going to send the link in the chat once my internet sites work. There we go. Okay. There it is. It's in the chat. You should be able to go and click that, fill it out. I'll give folks a few minutes to do that. And then I have Michelle's vote, so I will handle that. Okay. Okay. We have 18 responses. I'll give it a couple more minutes. 19. I'm not sure exactly how many voting members we have on here. So. Greg, I see you put under your club, you wrote Prez. Did you mean to put labor?
Yeah, sorry.
No worries. I'm just making sure we don't have any duplicates here. Okay, we have 20 responses now. Okay, I'll give one more minute till 11:19. If you haven't already gotten it in, get it in. I'm gonna add Michelle's vote. I received a DM asking how to vote. You just need to click that link that I sent in the chat a few minutes ago, the Google form. So make sure you do that. Since someone asked, I'm gonna give it another minute just to make sure. Okay. Ashley, I see you wrote appointed under your club, but which club are you voting on behalf of? Ashley, you can unmute or you can message me. Demco, okay. One second. All right, we are gonna close out there. Sinara did win with 85% of the vote. So thank you as well to Malik for running. Sinara, if you want to say anything real quick.
I just wanted to say thank you, and I will. I promise to work hard and serve well, and be a great advocate for our clubs.
Thank you, and I'm sure you know, but we'll be happy to have you join the club dev committee after this. So yeah, Thank you. Congrats. And then let's see, what was the rest of my stuff here? Okay, we're gonna do some quick reminders. Give me 1 minute. All righty, I'm gonna reshare my screen. Okay, so just reminders, this link here is the Council of Clubs link tree where you can find pertinent links, as always, as well as our social media, meeting recordings, slides, update officer and club info, chartering, endorsements, other resources. Again, if you are doing hybrid meetings, make sure you provide both the meeting link and the in-person location for the county parties calendar. If you have already gotten access to the Google Calendar item, you can edit it yourself, or you can email calendar@sddemocrats.org. You need to provide it 14 days in advance. So basically, whenever you send it to your club members. I see a hand raised. Christine?
Yes, thank you. So we're returning back to in-person in September. Is there any requirement that it has to be a hybrid?
No, there is not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good question. Yep, I think that's it. So then we will go ahead and do other announcements, other club announcements. So please raise your hand if you would like to make one. And I will go ahead. Well, I will share the timer. There we go. Okay. So first I see Indro, you have a minute whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So most of you heard, but if you haven't heard by now, the API Dem Club and Dems for Quality and State Treasurer Fiona Ma are hosting an event. It's called a Toast to Summer. State Treasurer Ma is going to be coming down. It's free to everyone to come and meet and greet. If you're a candidate, she'd love to meet you. I'll post a flyer in the chat. The one thing we're asking is if you do want to come, just send an email to the email that's on the flyer or to one of the clubs. Again, API Dems for Quality is hosting in collaboration with State Treasurer Fiona Ma, Toast of Summer, candidate meet and greet. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. It's downtown. Yeah, we look forward to seeing everyone there, and I'll put the flyer in the chat.
All right, thank you. Next I have Luke. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. My announcements are for the Community Service Committee. Is that okay to announce now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the Community Service Committee is having a few events coming up. On August 26th, we're having a voter registration event at Bonita Vista High School with the East Lake Bonita Democrats to help. If anyone has questions, they can contact them at eastlakebonitademocrats@gmail.com. On September 17th, the Democratic Women's Club is going to be at the opening of the Snapdragon Stadium and Waves game. They'll have a box. We'll be working with them. Tickets are $22. If anyone has questions, they can contact Nadia. And then on October 8th, we're going to be at South Bay Rainbow Pride. Everyone come register voters, support our South County LGBTQ community. If anyone has questions, they can contact at info@rainbowspaces.org. And the Carlsbad Dems are hosting a drive for hygiene products with a few events in Encinitas. And my time's almost up, so I'll send the rest in the chat. Thank you.
All right, next I have Tom. Whenever you're ready.
Hello, everybody. I just wanted to announce that with the close of register of voters closing the filing season the other day, we have 15 Fallbrook Club members who have filed to run for something: school boards, health district, fire district, planning group. So if anybody feels like helping us in Fallbrook, sign up for the Go team. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to lower your hand. Rob, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to the Community Service Committee and the work they're doing, and would ask that when they give their reports and announcements, is always what's coming up. I just would like for them to, if he can, give some reflection on some of the activities that they're participating in, because it really does make a difference. They were at the Back to School, Stay in School event for the North County NAACP. It was we should see more of what's happening and not just continue going forward. And that's not to beat up on you. I know it's a group that's not really tooting their own horn, but I think you should do a little tooting because it's worth it. And that's why we're doing it, to expand the party. Thanks.
Thank you, Rob. I'm going to lower your hand. Marcelo, whenever you're ready.
Hi there. I just want to give a nice friendly preview. KDEM, as a quick announcement, we're rolling out regional organizing councils throughout the state. If you see an invite to be part of a regional organizing council as we set up our coordinated and auto dialer systems, please feel free to send one representative to one of these rocks, is what we're calling them. And yeah, just wanted to keep it brief. Thank you so much, everybody.
All right, thank you. I'm going to lower your hand, and then Dr. Richmond, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so Nadia already told you all about the soccer game. I hope that lots of you can come out. I just wanted to also make the offer, if anyone's interested in doing voter registration at AfroCon, I welcome it. I would take that on myself, but it's hard to like manage an event and also be Marco and Macro at the same time. It's September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and at the Jackie Robinson YMCA. So let me know, just reach out if you're interested. I'll put the website in the link so that for these that don't know what I'm talking about, you can see what it is. But it's my other Afro features and events that I do.
Say my.
Thank you.
All right. I will, okay, next I see Seth, whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Go team relies a lot on clubs to get more members, and we're going to be doing Go team trainings only up until about the 17th of September. So now's the time to please remind your members that this is the time to sign up for the Go team. They can just go on and get training by going to sddems.link/go training. I'll put it again in the chat, but now's the time to please remind folks. Thanks very much.
All right, thank you. Okay. Next I see Danny, whenever you're ready.
Hey guys, just again wanted to remind you guys, if you guys want to do voter registration tomorrow, to try to practice some of the tactics that we've learned today. It'd be great to have some more help out tomorrow in Gaslamp. The other thing is, I would like to announce that the San Diego Downtown Democratic Club has opened a political action committee, which we are currently looking for a treasurer and a secretary. So if you know anyone that lives in the downtown community, and even beyond that, we love to be of service to the community. So we definitely need your help in that effort. Lastly, our next upcoming meeting for September will be September 10th. the second Wednesday of the month. So just wanted to give you a small update about what we're doing, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much.
All right. Anyone else? Going once. Going twice. All righty. So just, oh, thanks, Tess, for adding that link again. Please share that with your club. And oh, actually, I have a quick announcement if I can find it. Okay, I don't have the link on me, but San Diego County Young Dems is having our awards event and fundraiser on Friday, September 9th in the evening. So if you're interested in supporting our club, please check that out. Johan, do you have the links? I'm like trying to find it. I don't know. It'll be on Facebook and stuff, so check that out. Okay, and yes, and congrats. Thank you to the Community Service Committee for all of your work. And now we are done with council clause for today. We again do have club development committee right now, so if our committee members can stay on, that'd be really great. And we'll see everyone else next month. Thank you.